Good morning, everyone. Let's start with a prayer. Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, friend, beloved God, great masters, Jesus Christ, Babaji Krishna, Layadi Mahashai, Swami Shri Yukteswarji, beloved Master Paramahansa Yogananda Ji, saints of all religions, we bow at thy feet. And we ask thy blessings on our lives, that we put thee first in our hearts, minds, and souls, that our love for thee ever grow deeper and purer. We are thine, be thou ours. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let's start with one of Swamiji's most beautiful songs, What is Love? And then we'll hear a short excerpt from a talk by Swamiji. The topic today is People Are More Important Than Things. Welcome again.
What is love? Is it only ours? Or does love whisper in the flowers? Surely we're children of this world, could not love by our own powers. What is joy? Is it just a dream? Or does joy laugh in every stream? Are the clouds mindless after all? Or is joy all nature's theme? God is dead, so men say. Can't they see all life's his play? Not a church binds him as its own, not a creed makes him fully known. Foolish we're if we limit him. Every atom is his throne. What is love? Is it only ours? Or does love whisper in the flowers? Surely we're children of this world, could not love by our own powers. What is love? What is love? Is it love we touch enough flowers.
Master also said, live in the self. Come down every now and then to eat, to talk as necessary, then withdraw into the self again. And the more we can live that way, now this is a very difficult point here at Ananda. We are in a position here where Divine Mother has not given us a great congregation to support us so that we can all just spend our time in prayer. She has very specifically made it necessary for us to be businessmen and to do many practical things just so that we can keep this way of life. So we've had to be outward, we've had to be practical, as well as meditate. We've had to develop those kinds of attitudes that will make a community function rather than just strictly a monastery or an ashram. This has to be looked upon as an opportunity rather than a misfortune. As long as we look upon a necessity as a misfortune, we're not gaining the spiritual lesson we need. If we look upon it, Master said there's no such things as obstacles, there are only opportunities. And I've seen in the community that those who have gone with it and said, all right, if this is what we have to do, we'll do it joyfully, they're the ones who have gained the most. Now, in an ashram in India, it would be entirely fitting for a person to be totally in the self. Never talk to people, just quietly remain like this, and keep his consciousness centered in himself. Here you can't do that. It's not that kind of life, so we have to keep the balance between the two. When we meet people, for example, who come up here for seclusion, and they come and, oh, gee, Bella, it's so nice to see you. They're never going to come back again. And it won't help them. If we're really going to help them, then we should do that which we're trying to do, and not do it with one hand and take away with the other. Master said, when you're with people, be with them wholeheartedly. When you're with God, be completely with God. And so we should have that balance between the two, of being centered and yet being cordial and friendly and loving.
I like to start with a story, something that happened in Swamiji's life, and it's in his Akash lessons, and it's very brief. I'll just read it out to you. Several years ago, I vacationed in the little town of Taormina, Sicily. One very hot day, I entered a shop that sold men's hats. I was not accustomed to wearing hats, so therefore I asked the person there, which hat do your customers prefer? How should I know? She replied, they take what they want, pay me and leave. That's all the interest I have in the matter. What an empty life, I exclaimed. You just gather money all day, then go home, perhaps watch television and eat, and then go to bed? You miss every opportunity to make friends with people, to find out what their interests are and countless things about them. You miss all the joy of helping them to get the best product for their needs. You miss even the pleasure you could find in offering people a useful product. I left there thinking I would never see her again. The next year, I returned to Taormina. Later that day, I walked by her shop. Certainly, I had no intention of entering it. As it happened, however, she was standing outside. When she saw me, she began to cry. Coming over to me, she greeted me effusively and kissed me on both cheeks before I could get up my guard. Thank you, she cried fervently. You've changed my life for the better. The hotel had given us a bottle of wine as a gesture of appreciation for returning to their establishment. I don't drink alcohol. Therefore, I decided to give that bottle to this lady. When I gave it to her, she burst into tears. I have made a friend. This is such an important topic. And it's so important that Swamiji even put it in his will for Ananda to put people before projects, making money, numbers, all of these things, to put people's souls, to put kindness, to put loving energy, to put caring behind what you do, instead of what am I going to get out of it? What am I going to get from that person? Swamiji told another very sweet story of he was at this lady's house for tea once, and I don't know how it happened, but his arm broke the window at her house, and it a little bit went through the glass. And the lady said, "Oh, did you hurt your arm?" Instead of, "Oh, you broke my window." Now, this is thinking about the person first. And in all of our dealings, we always have to think about people rather than things, rather than what I'm going to get out of it or things like that. Now, let's look at this on different levels. First of all, in our spiritual life, God is more important than anything else. God is more important than things. And so as we go through our spiritual life, we need to keep our sadhana strong. We need to keep an attunement with God and Guru. We need to talk with them mentally, do japa, chant, listen to the music, but to always have a conversation, remembering God is most important. And don't work yourself to exhaustion so that you come home and you fall asleep and don't meditate even. I remember before I came to Ananda, or just at the very beginning, I had a wonderful job paying quite a lot. I had a beautiful apartment and car, nice car. Those are the days I could drive. And that was a nice life for a while. All I did was with the money was shop and buy things. I remember every weekend was at the stores, and it was an empty existence. And after a while, I just thought, I don't want to live like this anymore. There's got to be something more. I've got to put God first. Seek ye first the kingdom of God. And I decided I was just going to leave that kind of a life. And it took me about a year of working out all my bills, paying off everything from college and everything. But I finally did. And when I did, I called Swamiji. I said, "Swamiji, I'm finished. I just want to serve you and Master." And I went from that huge salary to move. He said, "Move to San Francisco, Ananda House." I moved there. Jyotish and Devi Ji were there. And I went from that amount to $35 a month. It was an amazing drop. But I got room and board because I was the house mother there. But I couldn't go shopping anymore. I didn't have all that money to just throw away. And I was so happy, because I put God first, God in my life. I'm not saying to be that drastic, but some people are that drastic. Some people do it that way. But getting your priorities right and putting God first is very important. Secondly, well, I'll read this, what Swamiji said here. Attitude is everything to me, not what people do or how well they do it. We're here for God alone. Everything else is just fillers. If the spirit isn't right, it's better to drop everything into the ocean and meditate. Strong words, but have their priorities right. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and then you'll be able to do all the other things with the right spirit, with the right attunement, with God and Guru's guidance. Secondly, your family and people you love and live with are more important than things. Now, today, in today's world, it's a shame, really. There's not a lot of deep interaction. People are on their phone so much. Social media all the time, if not that, television. People don't have a life where they're relating to each other. It's all about what's happening for somebody who's on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or all of these various things, and people don't have a real life. Spend time. Where's the time for the family? Where's the time when you sit together and talk? You actually talk to each other, not to the phone, not writing to somebody on one of these social media platforms, but have time in your family where you put people first. when I was growing up, and I know that seems like a long time ago, but actually it wasn't that long ago, that we had our dinners together. And then afterwards, before bed, uh, my mother and father, particularly my mother, was very religious. She had us kneel by our beds every night. I mean, until we got to the point we didn't want to do it anymore. But we prayed. We prayed together. Where's prayer? Are people praying with their children? It's not enough to just do a ritual and hope that it works. Take time to talk with your family. Take time to pray together. A family that prays together stays together. And then I was remembering Swamiji. He every day he would have tea with different groups, of usually kind of the groups that who were near him. And but he took out the time. He stopped his work and he would have tea time and have people over and talk. How was your day? What did you do today? I have this new project. Can I read something I wrote to you? Here's a piece of music I wrote. Let's listen to it together. It's such a special time to just take a moment. I was just last week, I met some of the Pune devotees, wonderful souls, just Dr. Aditya, Blazy, some of the others from there, Seema, Neeraj, and they were coming from up in the hills, and then we sat together for tea. I just loved it. I just thought this is so real to have the heart and soul connection with people. Take time to get off of all the media and just have a real life. I remember this movie, I can't remember all the details of it. It was Peter Sellers. It's just coming to mind now. It's called Being There. And his whole life was just through the television. He never did anything. It was just through the television. And he thought all these things were real. Well, we're not far from that. Oh, it's just through this media. It's just through the television. It's just through Facebook and the pictures people put on Facebook of themselves. Why? It's look at me. Everything. Look at me. Look, I've got a new outfit. Look where I am. I'm at the beach now. Now I'm up in the hills. Now I'm, and just get a real life. Don't let your life go into that direction where nothing is real anymore. Think about it. Nothing is real anymore. You don't have relationships with the children or with the spouse or with your friends and you see everybody at the restaurant, they all have their phone out. It's not the way to live your life. And finally, with others outside of the family. Now, Swamiji he was a master at this. He communicated with people through his eyes, through his voice, through talking to people. And there was once he was in the hospital and he was in a wheelchair because of the surgery. So he asked those who were with him to just take him out and he wanted to see what was going on. So he passed this very elderly gentleman who was he had some surgery, he was very ill. His head was down like this. And Swamiji went by him and he just says, "Good morning." And the man just woke up and his whole bhav was just giving. Then he would walk through the mall. You all know who lived up here in Gurgaon. He'd walk through the Metropolitan Mall, just a king. And he'd have on his robes and people would come and greet him and touch his feet. He went in the stores, different ones. He had favorite stores. He would go in, he didn't just go, "I want to buy this." He'd go, "How are you? How is your family? How is everything going?" And any place he went, "How are you?" And people are afraid these days. They don't want to even make any dialogue with people. "I want to watch. I want to buy this. I want to buy that." It's like a robot. But as you go in, greeting people and talking with them, it's so special. And I saw that in Swamiji all the time. Many of you went with us. We went to Tonino's for different dinners for after big talks that Swamiji gave. he would say at a certain point, now I want to go around and greet everybody. I want to go to every table. He would go to every table. Once we took over the whole restaurant, and he went from table to table, and it wasn't easy for him to get around, but he wanted to greet people. He wanted to let people know that he knew they were there, and he appreciated their love and support. And then I remember one last very touching story. This man who was part of this story, I know him well too. And Swamiji wanted to buy a chair. Now, some of you have heard this, but he went out, and this was in Assisi, a comfortable chair. So he went and with another man who is like the manager of the center. And of course, he was making sure we didn't spend too much money. So I wasn't there, but he was making sure Swamiji didn't spend too much money. So he went there. And so there was a nice chair. Swamiji said, okay, this is the one I want. And then the man said, who was with him, the manager, well, Swamiji, this is kind of expensive. Let's shop around. Maybe we can find, there's another shop. Let's go there. And Swamiji liked that chair, but he said, oh, okay. So he went to the other store, and the other store had the same exact chair, but it was less. And Swamiji, the man said, oh, well, let's buy it here because it's less money. But Swamiji said, no, but that man, he's my friend. Because Swamiji had bought other things from him, and he had gotten a conversation, a relationship. He said, but that man's my friend. Oh, but this is less. Swamiji said, no, he's my friend. And so they went back to the other man. And so people try to, 100 rupees, I save 100 rupees, 50 rupees, I save 50 rupees, I'll get it over here. Think more about the whole picture. What's important in that picture? Is it 50 rupees, 100 rupees? I don't know how much it was, but Swamiji probably gave out of his own pocket. If he had to, he would. And that would have been an embarrassment to that manager. So to think about it in that way is wrong. And finally, be supportive of others, what they're doing, what their accomplishments are, what they have gained. Someone's happy because they taught their first class or whatever. Think support, think unity, think giving, think that person that what they did is so important. And I remember when some of the children had a concert, I think it was a little orchestra, and Swamiji went. This was at Ananda Village in America, and they had invited the whole community, a couple hundred people. Hardly anybody showed up, and to my own embarrassment, I can say I didn't even go. And I play music, and so you can always find excuses and why you don't want to do something. And so Swamiji showed up at that orchestra performance, and whoa, did he give it to everybody else who did not come. Why weren't you there? Why didn't you support the children? The children are our future. If someone's asking us to come and support them, why don't we support them? And think about it in your own life here. And, someone has a program. No, I'm going to have another program, so it blocks that program. Someone asks you to come. No, I have a long list of excuses. I'm not going to go. Think, how can I be supportive? How can I encourage people? How can I give Master's vibrations and his enthusiasm to other people and what they're doing? And that way, we'll be following Swamiji's will. It was his will that he wanted Ananda to put people before projects, gain, money, ego, all these things, to put what is important in people and for people. And in that, Ananda will grow and will last forever. God bless you. I'll ask Nitendra to join me now on the screen. And we have just a few questions today.
Thank you, Dhyanaji. The first question which I'm putting on screen is, there are so many people I just can't get along with, including some of the relatives as well. So what can I do about that?
Well, that's life, isn't it? There's some people you get along with. There's some people you don't get along with. There's some relatives you get along with. There's some relatives you just don't get along with. See it as your own karma. I know that's shocking. See it as your own problem. I know that's shocking too. But as you not put it on, not see yourself as a victim. Why me? Why did I get this mother-in-law? Why did I get this husband? Why did I get this wife? Why did I get these children? Aren't there other children better than my children? No, yours are, that's for you in this lifetime. And what you can do is every time you're positive, you try to make things work, you try to work it out, you lessen and loosen the karma until it's completely finished. And I've seen that in my own life where I thought, I'll never get rid of this karma, but you do. So do your part and not put it on the other person. If they, remember that one man who hated Swamiji at the ashram, he said, I don't know why I hate you so much, Don, but I just hate you. And Swamiji said, I don't know why you hate me either, but I don't hate you. So don't hate people because they hate you, get mad at them because they're mad at you. Just be centered in yourself. And you'll find that that karma goes away, or they go away, or you go away. So don't center your life on other people and their emotions.
Thank you, Dhyanji. The next question is, I'm exhausted by the end of the day and don't want to relate to anyone. And that is why I sit in front of the TV or go on social media. So do I have to relate to people when I'm tired as well?
Why don't we try another option? Why don't you come home and do maybe a couple of pranayams or maybe one or two recharging exercises? And why don't you meditate before you meet and greet everybody in the household? Then you'll have a higher consciousness. But to just go passively and stare at a screen, is that rejuvenating to you? Don't say yes. It's not. It just sucks your energy. Whereas meditation just lifts you up. Then you can go, hello, hi, everybody, how are you? And even if you go for 5 minutes, 5 minutes, take a 5-minute break. Go in your meditation room. Thank God for the day. Thank Guruji that he saved you from the traffic or whatever was going on out there, or your boss. And then go and greet people. Now, I think that's a better option. What do you think, Nitendra?
Absolutely, Dhyanji.
Great. Okay.
We have 2 more questions, but very important ones. The first is, I love social media and could be on it for many hours.
Oh, really?
Often my spiritual life suffers because of it. So how can I pull away from social media more?
Okay. I would suggest the same kind of thing. Meditate before you go on social media. If yours is an evening time and it's the option of that or meditation, just meditate first. You'll be more clear. You'll be more uplifted. You'll have less pulls toward that. You can play a chant, not even with the harmonium, but just play that music, play a recording. Go to your altar, offer yourself first, do something spiritual first. Then it will cut the time down or cut it completely. Now, I know most of you were at the Swamiji Spiritual Anniversary program on Sunday. There was a beautiful program in the morning. There was a beautiful program in the evening. And in between those two, how could you do anything? It was so deep, so uplifting. That evening program was so beautiful. How could you turn on a social media thing after that? You can't do it because you're so fulfilled. Isn't it so? You're so centered in yourself that you don't want it. So just go with, don't worry so much about that. Worry about this, not worry, but put more into your spiritual life. And then you'll be balanced. It's not you can't ever do it. Just be balanced. But if that's all you do is stare at a screen all day, every day, I'm sorry to tell you, but that's not a good life. That's not Master's life or the one Swamiji wanted us to have. So get it balanced. And then you'll feel better about everything. Everything will go better.
Thank you, Dhyanaji. The final question is, how can I build relationships with people? Because so many people talk about very shallow topics. However, I prefer devotees and spiritual topics. And it doesn't seem like I'll ever have that kind of relationship with some people.
You won't. Clearly, you won't. With devotees, disciples, Guru Bhais, you're always going to have a deeper connection, a deeper relationship. As it says in the Bible, who's my father? Who's my mother? Who's my brother? Except really those who love God. And Master quoted that a lot. And so don't think you're going to have the deepest relationship with a friend from college who's not on the path, or somebody you knew 30 years back, or the neighbor next door, or even your relatives, unless they're deeply on the path. So it's just the reality of it. Mix more with Guru Bhais. Right now we have to mix on the screen, but that's much better than just going and watching a movie with people and not having anything spiritual in your life. It's painful to think about it. If you don't have God in your life, you don't have these reminders all around you. You don't have the spiritual books. You don't have the music. You don't have the Guru Bhais. You don't have programs. You don't have Kriya. You don't have any of these things. You don't have the talks. You don't have the books. You don't have a life. So Master set it up beautifully. Here's the life I want you to have. He gave it in a beautiful package. We have to accept that package and know that it's the life that he wants us to have. So God bless you all. Have a wonderful day. Thank you, Nitendra. Bye-bye, everybody.